Okay, this is my second video in my vinyl hauls from the time that I purchased my turntable in December 2016. So this is going to be for January 2017. The first record I bought in January after purchasing my turntable is a used record that I found at Lunchbox Records, and it's Biz, the New Transistor Heroes. This album came out in 1987, and I discovered this band from a 7-inch back in the 90s, probably back before 97, called Secret Vampires, which I thought was a really cool song. I wish it was on this album. There is a 7-inch that came with this as well, that I have that's in here. But this is their first full-length release, and they're like a bubblegum pop or power pop band, indie rock band. They're on Grand Royal Records, which was a label that was run by either some or all of the Beastie Boys, the guys from the Beastie Boys. It's mostly like an electronic or keyboard oriented record. It's kind of reminiscent of, like, it feels like the 80s a little bit. There's a few songs with 80s nostalgia on here. Kind of even reminds me maybe a little bit of Devo in a way, you know, with the electronic and the pop and the hooks and stuff like that. These guys are probably most well known for the song that they wrote for the opening of the cartoon The Powerpuff Girls. I ended up getting this used at Lunchbox Records. It was a pretty just random find. I've never seen this record in the wild since. So it's at least in my crate digging, it doesn't come up. But it's a pretty cool record, and it's Biz, New Transistor Heroes. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I need to say about that one. This is the next one that I purchased is the 6th studio album from Iced Earth, and this is Horror Show. This one I got at Lunchbox Records as well, and I bought this one new. This is basically where I stop with Iced Earth. I don't really go past this record in listening to their stuff, and obviously John Schaefer is problematic right now, and yeah, it's kind of messed up because I really liked this band a lot. I still like the band and I like the music, but yeah, the stuff that he did after this, he was getting political, and I don't mind artists getting political, but you know, what he did after that was extremely problematic. But anyway, this is a good record. This is the first record with Richard Christie on drums, who, if you watch Howard Stern show, you know him from there, but also he drummed in Death, and he does his own band as well with actually the singer that replaces Matt Barlow. I forget the guy's name. I think he was the Judas Priest replacement guy. I never really liked that guy's vocals that much myself, but I do like Matt Barlow's stuff, and yeah, this is a pretty good record. Definitely not my favorite Iced Earth record, but it's a good release. Some good songs on here. Damien is probably one of the, you know, songs that he used to play live a lot. And Family Opera Ghost is actually a really good song too on here. Yeah, and yeah, besides Richard Christie, Steve DiGiorgio played bass on this record as well. The next record I purchased, this I got from FYE at the time. This is the 6th studio album from Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. I think I paid like $40 even back in 2017 for this record. It was really expensive, but it was brand new. It is a repress. and it's in great shape, of course, and it has all the original cutouts for the windows and the inner sleeves and stuff like that, so you can switch it around if you want. Um, Great album. I had this album when I was a kid. Um, I really liked it then. Um, Kashmir is on here, but one of my favorite Zeppelin songs, "In My Time of Dying," is on here. I really, really like that song, and it's just got a real cool, groove to it. Um, yeah, good record. Not much to say about this one. Everybody, who knows Led Zeppelin knows this record probably. The next record is from one of my favorite artists, musical artists, and musicians, and that's Arjen Lucassen. This is The Lost and the New Real. This is his solo record that he did in 2012. And he's always working on different projects, from the Arion stuff to the Star One project and Gentle Storm he did. A bunch of other stuff that he does all the time. He's always working on stuff, but he is just so good. I randomly bought a couple Arion records on CD like a long time ago, and I just fell in love with those records so much. And this is progressive rock, basically progressive metal, more so metal, and it's just really, really good stuff. A lot of Hammond organs, a lot of just great guitar riffs. The Arion stuff obviously is, more different than this. Arjen sings on all these songs, and he always talks about how he's, he doesn't like his voice and he's embarrassed of his voice, but I like everything that he does, and this is a really cool record. Also, Rutger Hauer, which a little picture of him here, or drawing, does the narration. This is basically a concept record about how, Arjen ends up in the future, and he gets his memories and thoughts transferred basically into a computer, which is the new real of this future, time. And he just, goes through all the different phases of trying to figure out if he really wants to just be memories on a computer, I guess. Anyway, this is a really cool record. Arjen Lucassen's Lost in the New Real. This next record is the fourth and I guess final studio album. Yeah, it was the final studio album from Jawbreaker. I had this on CD back in when this came out, 95? Yeah, this is a great record. Highly recommended that you listen to this. Back then, 95, around that time, Green Day went nuts, right? I mean, they just went crazy, got huge. And similar to, the 80s, the late 80s with thrash metal, and the early 90s with grunge. This kind of would get thrown into grunge probably, but it's more a punk rock, melodic pop punk record. But yeah, when Green Day hit, all the record labels were just signing everybody. And Jawbreaker was, I wouldn't say they were obscure, but they were definitely not huge. They had a cult following, I guess, or an okay, decent following. But yeah, they hit major label here on Geffen. And this record is excellent. It is so good. 24-Hour Revenge Therapy is really, really good as well. I think this beats that, in my opinion. That, I know a lot of people differ, and some people even say Unfun is their best record, but I really, really love this record. Have it on the blue and white splatter, kind of transparent. And I got this used. It was just in the used bin. I was super surprised, back when I saw, I was being surprised by a lot of different stuff that was on vinyl, like the Arjen Lucassen stuff. When I started looking stuff up on Discogs just to see what was available, I was really surprised that Arion stuff and Arjen stuff was available. And the floodgates are open now. You know, of course, everything's getting repressed, but even in 2016 or early 2017, it was still surprising me. You know, the stuff that I was finding and the stuff that just kept coming out was really cool. But this had already been, you know, this was already obviously reissued. You know, when I started collecting. But this is a fantastic record. Definitely buy this if you can find it. It is a great album. Next record is the 5th studio album from the Cardigans. It's Long Gone Before Daylight. I really like this record. I like all of the Cardigan stuff. I actually bought, I think it was Life. I bought like back in the early 90s, or mid 90s, mid to late 90s maybe. I can't remember when Life came out, but I didn't buy Emmerdale yet, but I bought Life, and I just fell in love with that record. It was so cool. It has a really cool vibe to it. Yeah, and this record is really good. I really like this record, and then I started reading reviews online and stuff like that, and this is, a lot of people say this is their least, favorite record from them, or it's not even good, but there's so many good songs on here that I like, especially, yeah, Communication is good, You're the Storm is great, and Then You Kissed Me has some really interesting lyrics, and what's interesting, or one of the interesting things about this record is Nina Pearson is, I believe she still is, married to the guitar player Nathan Larson from Shudder to Think, or he used to be in Shudder to Think, and she actually thanks him in the credits here for helping her out with the lyrics and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. I didn't really, realize that they were, together, and, he was, influencing her on this record and helping with the lyrics. Shudder to Think is just a really good band as well. They have one of my favorite albums of all time. That album will be coming up in a later video if I keep doing these. Cardigans, great album. All their stuff, like I said about the reissues, all their stuff has pretty much been reissued on vinyl now, so you can get all of it, and it's all worth it. Even this stuff that came out after, they kind of hit with the Romeo and Juliet song on the first Band on the Moon. That record, kind of blew them up. They went crazy after that record. But then, like subsequently, these records, I don't, you didn't see much singles or whatever from them, but these are still fantastic records. Cardigans. The next record I bought, I'm pretty sure I bought it blind at the time, but I was really interested in getting a lot of these, revival bands who were, doing Sabbath stuff, or just 70s, heavy metal, being influenced by that and just bringing that into the, the 2000s. And this is Death Penalty. This is Gaz Jennings, or Gary Jennings from Cathedral. This is the band that he put together. This only record from these guys. Michelle Noncon, I think is her name. Nocon does the vocals on here. Fantastic record. Some really good songs on here, very reminiscent of Cathedral. That style of metal. This is on Rise Above, so kind of get that too. There's Gaz and the band that he put together. Got this on the purple vinyl, and yeah, really good record. If you're into the these revival bands who are doing Sabbath type stuff. Obviously they don't, Sabbath isn't the only band that they're emulating or whatever, and this is a bit heavier than that, but you get the idea. A lot of that stuff on Rise Above is like this, but this is really good. The riffs are great, the songs are good. That's what makes it good, and the, Michelle's vocals are really good. I mentioned before, female vocals, they really do it for me. I really like bands with female vocals, so this is really good. The next record that I bought, I might have just ordered this online or something, gotten it cheap, but it's the fourth studio album from Metallica. Yeah, Justice for All. I remember when I first heard this record. Well, I was into Metallica. I started with Master of Puppets, you know, when I was a kid. I was like 15 years old or whatever. And I freaking, you know, fell in love with Metallica then. I actually heard Metallica for the first time on the way to my first concert, which was Motley Crue. And the song Battery, you know, with the slow acoustic intro, then it goes into just the, you know, that beginning riff. I just like was like, what that, like I'd never heard anything like that before from music. So I fell in love with Metallica then, and I went and bought all their records after that. But I actually, first time I heard this album was off of Metal Shop, the radio show, on my local radio station. Or one of the local radio stations that did it, you know, that had it on WRF or WLZ, whoever was doing it. And I had recorded it off the radio because it was just coming out. And they played the whole album over the radio, and I recorded it on a cassette tape. And I listened to that for a while before I went out and bought it. And I actually, because I had that cassette tape, I was like, why don't I want to just buy it on cassette? So I actually had an original copy back in the day of this album. I probably bought it at Kmart or something, you know, and Vine. And this was, even at that time, you know, 89 or whatever. When did this come out? Yeah, 88. You know, vinyl was still being pressed back then, you know, so, and it was in the stores. You know, cassette was kind of taken over, and CDs hadn't really hit yet, you know, for the mainstream anyway. They weren't really affordable, I guess, at that time, but I had this on vinyl back then. So that was one of the, you know, when I got back into collecting vinyl, a lot of it was nostalgia. So that's why this was the first Metallica record that I bought to add to my collection. And it's on the Blackened label. So it's a repress, it's not an original, but you know, I just remember having the, you know, the insert, with the guys in the glasses, you know. I remember this, and I saw them on this tour, you know. I saw the Cult opened up for them, which was wild. It was like, you know, what, the Cult, yeah, so it's a good record. It's not their best, but you know, it's probably their fourth best record out of the first four. I fell off after this, honestly, you know, just like a lot of people did. A lot of my friends did too, you know. And when the Black Album came out, we did not like it. We were, yeah, nobody liked it. None of my friends did. So we pretty much stopped here, and that still kind of holds today for me. But anyway, Metallica, Justice for All, good record. And speaking of Arjun, we were talking about Arjun before on Lost is the New Real. This is the first Arion record that Arjun Lucassen did. One of this might be my favorite band of all time right now. You know, I mean, you go through phases, you know, but this is up there. I mean, all the Arion records are, you know, are all, yeah, as far as the band is concerned, you know, Arion is definitely in my top 5 favorite bands of all time. I love these records. This record in particular is great. It's the first, and these records are huge concept records, you know, 60 minutes plus of music. And what's really cool is all the different singers, you know, like every song or within each song, there's going to be multiple singers singing the songs. It's going to be a huge concept record that is just going to kind of suck you into a story. Really, really good stuff. You know, it's progressive metal. It's got a lot of Hammond keyboards in it and regular keyboards, you know, good guitar riffs. Just the musicianship is just top notch. Arjun Lucassen. He's a multi-instrumentalist, so he plays pretty much everything: bass guitar, keyboards. The only thing that he always says he doesn't play is drums. He can't. I guess he can't do drums very well, or at all. He can sing too, and I think he sings on this. Yeah, I think he does sing on this record. But there is, yeah, tons of singers on here. Lenny Wolf from Kingdom Come sings a song on here. Yeah, Arjun sings on here as well. Great, great, great album. It is a start here. If you want to get into Arion, I definitely would start here. This is just a great record. He was about to give up on music. He said, he was like, everything that he did up to this point was just, failing. And he says, well, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to write what I want to write. I'm going to write the most bombastic, concept record that's just bloated with music and just, everything that he just smashed everything he could into this record. And it was a hit. He was just as surprised as I think as the record label even. And yeah, now look at today, man. I mean, he's had so many records under this title, and he's done Star One. He's done his own solo stuff. But one of my most favorite bands of all time is Arion, and Arjun is one of my favorite artists, musical artists of all time. Great, great album. Pick this one up if you can. And the last record I bought, this is crazy. I just randomly at Second and Charles, this was just in the bin. And this is Melissa Oftamar, Out of Our Minds. And this is the second studio album from her. She used to be the bass player with Hole on the Live Through This record, I believe. I liked her back then. I always noticed, I was into the, grunge and stuff like that. So I'd listen to Hole. I had the first album for Hole on CD back then. And, when Live Through This came out, I was into it. But then when I found out that she was doing solo stuff, she had an album, her first album that's not on vinyl. I'm hoping that gets a repress or an original press, because it's never been pressed on vinyl. And I just loved that first album, and just and then this album came out. I had listened to it a couple times, and I had it on streaming, and just randomly ran across this in the used bin. Unbelievable. I think this record is pretty expensive right now. It might go for $50 to $100. I'm not sure if somebody, what people would buy for this right now if they were a real big fan like I was or am. And this is a great record. This album has kind of a unique thing where I don't know where the connection came from, but Glenn Danzig does a duet with her on this album. It's called Father's Grave, and it's basically a song about her dad being killed by the character that Danzig is playing, and how they have to bury him and stuff like that. And it's a cool song. But yeah, this is it's grunge-ish, just a hard rock with Melissa on vocals, and she plays the bass, which is cool. But yeah, anyway, great record. Melissa Oftamar is a great artist. She hasn't made music since this record, as far as I know. I know she hasn't put out any full lengths under her name. I really wish she would do some new music, because this is, she's one of my favorite artists from those two albums, from this album and her previous album. She's just really, really good. And I would have probably kept buying everything that she put out if she had put anything else out. Anyway, this is Out of Our Minds, Melissa Oftamar, red vinyl. Great record. And that's it. I've created Spotify playlists. I don't know if anybody cares, but of at least one song from each of these records for the previous videos and this one. And I'll put the link to it And just if you want to, sample some of the songs from these records, if you haven't heard any of this stuff before, I have, obviously I listen to a lot of metal, a lot of pop, a lot of hard rock, um, indie, uh, grunge, whatever. I listen to a lot of different stuff. So some of the playlists are eclectic, but I think it'd be fun to listen to, some of these songs on each of these records. All right, that's it. Thanks.